Hi, Maurice.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We need to keep this thing moving, and I'm going to make it move because I can't go past noon today.
Okay.
And we have a fair amount of things. I got to go to the doctors with my wife. Her breast cancer doctor has left the clinic, so she's got a new one. So we're going to go meet them.
Okay.
And I'm not missing that. But as of yesterday, she's been cancer free for 6 years.
Wow, that's excellent. That's kind of over the hump then, isn't it?
Hey, it's just another hump.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt about it. And then two of my dogs it started to go on the road this past week for dog shows because I don't have time to show them.
Uh-huh.
And the handlers that were taking them, they rolled their truck over on the way to Lima show.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so I'm waiting for a call on that too.
Oh my goodness.
So abruptly, I may turn it over to Lillian. So,
Okay. Well, as long as we don't lose the quorum, we're fine.
oh no, we won't. My life is just a little bit of a zoo right now.
I can imagine.
But we all deal with it, don't we?
Yep. Yep.
So how's your life going?
Good. It's going fine. Enjoying working from home. I really like it.
Now, do you work from home all the time or just most of the time or
Most of the time, I mean, like yesterday, I went into the office for a few hours for a face-to-face meeting with some people. But for the most part, I'm home. I'll go in maybe once or twice a week for a couple of hours just to do things that I can't do at home.
right?
Sometimes it's IT related stuff because I also do that. So, some of those things I absolutely can't do from home.
Right. It's interesting. I think it depends on what you do. I mean, we
Right.
have two people from our office that have not been back yet, but they work from home. The rest of the people are back, and I never left.
Oh, you never left. Well, if you're
No,
the only one in there, then I guess it didn't matter.
a lot of social distancing here by myself.
Yeah, that's pretty easy.
I get these text messages. Could you jiggle my mouse to wake up my computer? But we were building two multifamily residential buildings.
Ah,
I had to get those things done.
right. Yeah, no, I'm loving working from home, but they're telling us we're going to be coming back soon, but they won't give us a date, so I don't know when that's actually going to happen.
Yeah, we brought people back a while ago, but we let them know if there was, something that made them immune compromised or someone in the family immune compromised or, you know, we
Yeah,
didn't
we
do
have that.
that.
They've already given us the forms to fill out for things for those kinds of situations where people are, either a caregiver for someone that,
Right.
something like that, or like you said, immune compromised, or just, is someone in the high risk category. So
Yeah. So
I just love working from home.
we didn't have forms. We just left it up to everyone.
Right. Well, you're not quite as big as the city of Cleveland.
No.
So, and we
Also,
are government, so we love paperwork.
uh,
Uh,
um,
yeah, our biggest
and
thing
they
is
sent me those documents actually.
you what?
They
Oh,
sent me
they
those
send? Oh,
documents.
you got that letter too? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. They sent it because you guys are technically employees.
Yeah. I sneak in as much as I can. For me, I'm not obviously high risk or anything like that. So for me, I
I'm
tend to
somewhat
keep.
high risk. I've had pneumonia multiple
Oh yeah.
times. Once
Uh,
really bad. I have high blood pressure. I don't know that that's a big deal with that, but so I don't know that I'm high risk, but I'm definitely more of a risk than the average person.
Yeah, there's a guy that I was just with this morning. He's doing some earthwork for me, and he's out there with the excavator, and he had lung cancer,
Oh,
and he's working for whatever reason. He doesn't want to sit at home, so he's out working.
yeah. Our biggest hurdle in our office is getting plans digitally. I really wish we could get everything moved over to a complete digital format with all the plan submissions.
Well, and I think it's depends on how people work. I mean, even in our office, I think the digital plans are nice, and depending on the kind of screens you have and everything, people can mark them up that way. But then there's some people that want paper copies because they like to mark up the paper copies. And I think it just depends on your history and what kind of, computers you have.
Right.
Screens, but I always give the plans examiner an option. I said, if you want hard copies, let me know, we'll drop them off. Because some people, it's just easier for, and if they're moving back and forth from their home to their office, and I gotta tell you, I've seen some of the computer screens that they have at City Hall. I'm not sure that you could read anything on it.
Well, the plans examiners got big monitors a while ago when we first rolled out Acela, as part of that rollout. Because initially they were planning on moving to an all digital situation, just like cities like Cincinnati. There's other cities out there that are all digital.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
And as you know, Acela is completely set up for that. But that was the plan. It never happened. But it's funny, the pandemic has really been interesting to show you the level of technical expertise of everybody, especially in their home.
Yeah, my home is just because I just dragged my laptop into it, it's pretty good. And I have a fairly sophisticated laptop, and I got my wife one.
But it's like there's an attorney that works for us that I'm not going to mention the name, but that person has no internet access at home other than their cell phone, no computer.
No, really?
It just is surprising to me.
Well,
there's a whole spectrum.
Yeah, well, it depends on who you're working for too. So when we were doing casinos, there is no internet connection in the casinos. So I had to use my phone's hotspot.
Oh, right.
Because obviously they don't want to take any risks.
Oh, yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
And hardened facilities are the same way. And we do a lot of, police headquarters and jails and courtrooms and
Sure, that makes sense.
FBI buildings. So you run into places that they just don't allow you, but your phone's hotspot is usually pretty good.
Yeah, true.
I see Michael's on the screen now. Hey, Michael.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Should I change my virtual background, Michael, so it looks like we're in the same room?
That'll throw people off. Yeah, why not?
We had that in another meeting. Two people had the same background. They're like, "Are you guys in the same room together?"
I don't know how to put a virtual background, and besides, I think my background's pretty nice looking at.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I love that view out the window. We can see that it's not. It looks like it might rain any minute, actually.
Well, there's that one proposal that is looking to put a building in between the one that you see now and our building. So my view may change at some point.
True.
Which is always a good thing.
What did you say, Tommy?
I said it's raining here in Independence, Ohio.
Oh, is it? It's. I don't think it's raining here in Cleveland, in Old Brooklyn.
Blue skies, but it's raining.
Tommy, where are you?
Independence, over at the Beacon Place.
All right.
At work.
I have almost a little bit of sun peeking out over on East 12.
Wow, that's nice.
I can see that.
It must have not reached David's office yet.
Yeah, but
Wrong
you can see
side.
some daylight behind me, down in the bottom area. So
Ah,
it's moving my direction, the sunlight.
did everybody get that insane hail yesterday? That was crazy.
Yeah, and then the downpour last night was something else. The sky's open.
It was really bizarre because I could see, if I looked to the east, I could still see the blue sky, and yet it was hailing and raining cats and dogs here. So that was a weird weather day yesterday.
I like going
Yeah.
out and looking at that for the rainbow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at the Graffiti Art building, Uber Pizza, and it was lightning and pouring. Poor guy was like
Wow.
drenched.
You ever go to El Rione for pizza? On
No,
60,
if I
West
can't
65th
pronounce
Street?
it, I won't go there.
Pardon me?
I said if I can't pronounce it, I won't go there.
I can't pronounce it and I still go there. They have the best pizza.
Oh, where's it at?
On 65th Street, just north of Detroit.
Okay.
They only do takeout. They haven't opened up the restaurant yet, but,
Oh,
and,
they're-
and they only do smalls right now, but
Okay.
it is killer pizza.
I ordered from Citizens Pie. It was really good.
Oh, I go there too.
Michael, can you send Nicole Calhoun the link for the meeting today? She just emailed me, and it's kind of hard for me with everything I got on the screen.
No problem.
Thank you.
I'm trying to see if we have a quorum yet.
Oh, I see Director Collier has moved into the virtual background
Oh,
technology there.
Yeah, I thought I'd try it out.
there you go.
Good picture, Fred.
So can you post any kind of picture for a virtual background?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they have some size requirements, but other than that, yeah, you can, with this program, you can add, I think, 2 or 3 different virtual backgrounds. Of course, you can swap them out at any time.
Yeah. I think I would pick the beach or, you know, something like
There
that.
is a beach one.
Yeah.
I tried to keep it professional for, City Planning Commission meeting.
I don't know. I think next time maybe I'll wear a bow tie, but maybe my swim trunks and the beach.
And you can have a little bucket and a shovel next to you on your desk too. There you go.
There you go. And a surfboard.
Building sandcastles.
I'll bring my surfboard that's hanging in my garage right now.
Well, we're getting close.
Yeah, and people are logging in. Like it looks like we might have a quorum already.
Yeah, I see Diane. I see Lillian. And Stami was on before. I don't know. I don't see her now.
It's 9 o'clock. Director?
Good morning.
Good morning.
In compliance with notification requirements of Ohio's open meeting law, under COVID-19 emergency declaration, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure everyone participating in the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you. Be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. All meeting activity is being recorded via platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube. We have provided for those who wish to speak on a particular case via our website and email. We also received emails from those who have provided written comment on a particular matter. Mr. Chairman, the meeting's yours.
Thank you. Michael, call the roll, please.
Bowen,
Present.
Downing,
Present.
Fluker, Curry,
Present.
Paul. Here. Stami?
She just muted herself.
Okay. And Slythe.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Before we get started,
I lost. Sorry.
oh, there's Tommy. So before we get started, I ask people to keep their presentations brief. I have a hard stop at noon, and I'd like to keep a quorum all the way through. So the first one is a special presentation for public art, Bridge Avenue. Sarah, are you on the call?
I am.
Go ahead.
Commission. Good morning, Commission. This first project, Bridge Avenue Beautification Mural, is part of a neighborhood-wide beautification project that is being led by community members in the Bridge Avenue Block Club, and Andrea Lopesy is spearheading this. You all may remember back in the fall, there was an approval of some light poles, utility poles, between, I believe, 48th and 65th that were painted artistically to bring some color and vibrancy to the neighborhood. This project is phase 2 of that. It is not in the design review district, and the project kind of lapses into both Ward 15 with Matt Zone, as well as Ward 3 with Councilman Kerry McCormick. This particular installation is in Kerry McCormick's ward, but has also received the support of Councilman Matt Zone, who sent a letter of support stating how the Bridge Brigade Block Club, as well as the artists, were close community through several meetings to come up with the concept that was responsive to what the community wanted to see. So with that support, as well as my own, I just want to turn it over to Andrea for the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. Hello,
And
everyone.
Andrea, I just wanted to remind you that I'll be changing the slides, so just let me know when you need a slide changed.
Got it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone's time. Excited to kick off phase 2, hopefully, of our project that we started last year. You can actually go to the next slide. I wanted to capture just the summary of the project. I have a short presentation where I'm going to recap a little bit more about what we did last year and then where we're taking it this year. But really, this entire project has been about neighborhood beautification. I am the co-chair of our local block club, which runs from 48th on Bridge Avenue all the way down to 65th. So a lot of households in between Lorraine and Franklin. We work pretty closely with Eco Village and the Clinton Block Club, West Clinton and Franklin as well. So we're a pretty tight-knit group. We do a lot of collaborating. So we've been talking about beautification projects for a long time, and this really is focused on phase 2 of what we began last year. Really, the goal and the summary of the project is to create more vibrancy, more energy around the neighborhood, especially in this COVID time. You know, we see a lot of people walking the dogs, outside with their families, enjoying the weather before it gets really cold. So I think it's more important than ever that we're creating a safe environment, a vibrant, colorful, welcoming environment for neighbors, and also a really great destination for people to potentially move to. As we know, this area is thriving right now with development and families moving in. So that's really what we're trying to do with this entire project. You can go to the next slide. So the specific goals are obviously to add color to our neighborhood, continue what we've started. Also a photo destination. This mural is a pretty big landscape, but I'll show you what it looks like, obviously. But it will be something that hopefully people will be talking about and excited about and take pictures of. And really, at the end of the day, we're trying to turn an eyesore in the neighborhood to eye candy, as I'm calling it. It's a pretty prominent corner in the neighborhood, and it's an old dead gas station that's been there, painted gray and kind of not taken care of for a long time. So I think this would really create that colorful kind of feeling that we were shooting for. You can go to the next slide. Just wanted to capture the project timeline and also recap what we did last year. So last year, I know a few of you were there when I came in person to present our idea for the telephone poles. And if you live in the area or if you've ever driven down Bridge Avenue, hopefully you've seen them. We painted 22 telephone poles from 48th all the way down to 65th, which we're really excited about, had a really good response, and it looked beautiful with the snow and even right now as the leaves are changing. This year, phase 2, we started with really cleaning up one of the local parks in our neighborhood. So it's on 58th and Bridge, a little further down. Very small park, so we're kind of reimagining what we want it to be as a park and doing cleanup projects. We've already kicked that off in September. This month, October, we're hoping to paint the mural before it turns really cold. I actually got a trash can put in at that corner for, dog bags and just extra trash. There really wasn't one outside of 52nd Street. And then also our Block Club has purchased a dog bag stand with bags that people can grab and use as they walk around the neighborhood. Leading into next year, we also have plans for phase 3, which is continued maintenance of Simmons Park. And then also some different artwork installations using metal and kind of creating that feel that we've created with the color. So hopefully I'll be back to present to you guys about that, but that'll be next year. You can go to the next slide. This is just kind of recapping the location from 48th to 65th is really our main focus for these beautification projects. You can go to the next slide. And then this is really what the poles, this is kind of how they turned out. Obviously, I couldn't take a picture of all 22 and capture it, so we've tried to create a collage of what they look like at different points. So you can see some folks walking in the one and the pole and how nice it looks. You can go to the next slide. This is kind of a picture looking down from 52nd. So you can see there's a couple poles painted on the corners here. We painted that trash can. And if you look down Bridge, you see all of the color and it really pops. And I think we really were able to create the effect we were going for. Next slide. So phase 2, this is the location, 48th and Bridge. This gas station is 95 feet long. And then it is about 15 feet high. So we're looking at it from the corner, looking north. You can see there's a little graffiti on it and, it's not really well maintained. There's also an old kind of gas station sign in the front that's being blocked by the tree. But this project would really kick off kind of cleaning up this whole block. There is now a trash can, as I mentioned, on the right side, and there will be a dog bag stand right next to the trash can. We're also looking at painting the side of it, which you'll see a better angle if you click to the next slide. You can see kind of this building at different angles. You can see that side that we're looking at painting. So if you're coming down Bridge Avenue, looking to your right, you'll see this beautiful mural along the side as well as in the front. We are able to paint right over the garage doors and those windows that you see. And obviously we've been in contact with the building owner. If you go to the next slide, you'll see it from the aerial view. So this is just kind of capturing it on Bridge Avenue. One of the first things I did was reach out to the building owner. It is a private building. It's owned by Gelada Incorporated. They are huge supporters of doing this. They've maintained this building. They don't have any plans to sell it. They're actually trying to get tenants in it, which I'm not sure if they're going to be able to, but they were excited about it. And I've actually been working with the owner's daughter pretty frequently, and from last year until now, just kind of corresponding and communicating our plans. Next slide. Sherwin-Williams, I've also talked to, they're actually giving us a 50% discount on paint. They actually gave us a discount on the paint we needed for the poles last year. So I'm working with someone different since they closed the Ohio City store, but I'm working with the St. Clair store downtown. They've been super supportive, and they will be giving us the paint that we need, the super paint, which is exterior, will hold up really well through the elements at a big discount. So that'll be helpful. We're also going to be using anti-graffiti coating. So this will actually repel graffiti. It won't prevent it, obviously, but if we do have graffiti painted at any point, all we'll need to do is use a big power washer, which I actually own, my husband owns, and we can easily walk down and get rid of it, hoping we don't see that, but obviously we run the chance. So that extra coating at the very end will hopefully help that. And then obviously we'll need materials like a ladder, which we have, paintbrushes, cans, mixers, tarps, etc. You can go to the next slide. I wanted to capture some of the local support. We wouldn't be able to do this without our grant from Neighborhood Connections. So we actually got a grant last year for phase 1. We did receive another grant this year for phase 2. So we're very thankful and grateful for the support from the local Neighborhood Connections. Also, Tara mentioned Councilman Zone. He's been a huge support and very helpful with this entire process. I actually kicked off with him at the Detroit Shoreway office last year, not knowing exactly what we wanted to do and how to do it. So he really helped navigate a lot of this, and he's been a big advocate for our block club, and we really appreciate his support. Detroit Shoreway, I've been working with them. They're actually serving as our fiscal agent. So been working with a bunch of different members at the organization, and they're obviously in support of what we're doing. And then Gelada Fuel Products, I mentioned they are the owners of the building. So I've been talking with them since the beginning. I actually just received a letter of support and basically like one-page contract agreement that we typed up for them that says they will not tear down the building within 5 years. So that was one of our concerns, was like, hey, what if they sell this prime corner in Ohio City? She's assured me that they're not going to, but we wanted to get it in writing, and they actually agreed to it. So we do have an agreement from them that this mural will stay put for at least 5 years. And if they do have a transfer of ownership, it still stays. If the tenant moves in, it still stays. The tenant she was actually talking to about moving in here, he was actually pretty excited about it as well. So very happy we actually got that in writing. We didn't think we would, but we did. So a lot of local support throughout this whole process. You can move to the next slide. Before I show you the mural, I wanted to capture some of the artist's work. So Garrett Wider will be the artist we're working with primarily. Garrett led the telephone poles painting. He's a member of the community. He's very passionate about community projects. These are just a small sample of some of the things that he's done around the city. He does a lot of cool skylines. He's very passionate about Cleveland. He's done some bridge work. He's painted interior, exterior murals. This one is the side of a garage with kind of the floral aspect, which is kind of the direction we're going. So he is very excited to get involved with this project with phase 2, as well as Hector Vega. If you're familiar with his work, he's also supporting the project. He might not be actually painting, but he's been involved since the beginning as well. And he's also a big advocate for the neighborhood. If you go to the next slide. So this is the proposed mural kind of in the works. This was the black and white version that Garrett was hand drawing. So he's actually hand drawn all of these flowers. We really thought flowers on this prime kind of corner of the neighborhood would be great for, showing the growth that we've experienced, creating still that vibrancy of color and energy, but doing it in a way where we don't necessarily have to maintain flowers, right? We've talked about a lot of different things, planters and things that we'd have to water, take care of, flowers that are like hanging baskets, that kind of thing. So we're moving in a different direction. We're trying to use artwork to capture what we want to capture with the look and feel of the neighborhood. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see the mural painted on the building. It is, I will have to say, it is a little bright because of Photoshop. So this is kind of the computer generated, obviously. So it won't be quite as neon-y as it comes across here. But you can see these are large kind of in-your-face flowers, and we're creating that different color and vibrancy look and effect with the petals themselves. It'll wrap from the front all the way to the side, as you see here, and really just be a really great kind of addition to the corner, as I said. We can go to the next slide. Maintenance plan. This is the last slide. Really, we're going to be monitoring the property. So everyone involved in this project lives locally. We walk by this gas station almost every day when we're out and about. So we're going to keep a close eye on it, obviously, to watch for ongoing maintenance. We're going to clean it as needed. So we've got that anti-graffiti coating on it. Our block club takes responsibility for making sure that if we need to power wash or clean it, we can. And then touch up as needed. We're going to kind of look at how it holds up. Obviously, we're using the right kind of paints and we're doing the right things. So it should hold up for quite a while. There's no guarantee about years or anything, but we'll definitely be watching it through the winter. We'll reassess next spring and summer and touch it up as needed. We'll obviously have leftover paint to do that. And I think that's it. I think the last slide is it. So I will turn it over to questions.
Thank you very much. Hey, Matt, did you want to add something? I see you're on the call.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My camera is not working on my phone, but been working with this block club, and Andrea is an amazing community leader for a couple of years now. They've been thinking pretty strategically about how they can invigorate and splash art all throughout this Bridge Avenue corridor, and I'm fully supportive of this project.
Thank you, Matt. Commission members?
Move approval, Downing.
Second, Paul.
We have a motion second. Further discussion?
I just wanted
Hearing
to,
none.
I was just going to say, this is Lillian. I didn't realize there was Neighborhood Connections funding in, which is from the Cleveland Foundation. So I will just abstain from this.
All right, thank you, Lillian. Michael, want to call the roll, please?
Sure. Bowen,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Hooker,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Slight.
Yes.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
The next one is public art, graffiti art, mural.
Good morning. Again, this mural, Graffiti Heart mural is part of a larger project being spearheaded by Midtown Cleveland. As you all know, when this came before you last year, I believe, or earlier this year for Powwow Festival, which is being renamed, this particular mural is set to kick that off. It's at 3038 Payne Avenue, which is part of the Euclid Corridor Design Review District. It did go before that design review yesterday and was approved. And I'm going to go ahead. I support the mural. I think it's a great way to kick it off. It's very different than most of the other artwork we see around the city. So it's just nice to have some diversity in the styles of murals that we have in our inventory. So I'm going to turn this over to Kara Sang of Midtown Cleveland and Joe Lanzalata to go into further detail about the location, the artist, and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tara. Yeah, I'll start it off, and then Karis can jump in to talk a little bit more about the property owner. But as Tara said, this is part of the project formerly known as Powwow. We're still working with that group to help put on the festival next year. We're looking at a tentative date of late August. It was originally supposed to kick off June of this year, but due to the pandemic, we had to push it back to September, and then ultimately had to reschedule it for August of 2021. So in hopes of getting some things done this year to kind of bring some vibrancy to the community and a little positivity, we wanted to do a couple of our projects in the lead up to the bigger festival. So this is one of them. We're working with Graffiti Heart, who has come on as a program partner for what we're now calling the Cleveland Walls Festival. I think you can advance the slide. So yeah, as Tara said, this is on the Good Harvest Food Market building at 3038 Payne Avenue, kind of the border of Midtown and Asiatown. It's a west-facing wall. We actually got approval in the first run of project approvals to do the opposite wall of this building as well. So there will be 2 murals on this building, one east-facing, one west-facing. It's about a 70-foot wall. They're going to be using aerosol and outdoor kind of bucket paint for the project. They'll also be working with a handful of students from the Cleveland Institute of Art through their scholarship program that Graffiti Heart puts on, and those students will be working with local artists Bob Peck and Miguel Garcia to get this project done. So it's a really cool collaborative of artists and younger folks who are kind of working on their graffiti portfolio as well as their visual art portfolios. So this is a really cool opportunity to get some youth involved in this project. I think you can advance the slide. So the project is based on a style, both graffiti style and taking the Gundam style as kind of the conceptual basis for the project. And Gundam is an anime series that has been around for a long time. It's a pretty famous style, but I believe it started in the late 70s, early 80s. It's kind of robotic characters. You'll see from the concept the kind of vibrancy of these visuals. So you can advance the slide. This just shows an aerial of the building, the front of the building. So we'll have a mural on the right and on the left sides of this building. Next slide. This is the wall we're looking at for this project. Next slide. Again, just a little bit about the local artists who will be kind of helping, who will be painting the wall, but also working with the students. Next slide. And this would be the mural design. So you can see kind of what style we're talking about, the Gundam style characters in the center and kind of flanking, and also the graffiti elements on the left and right hand sides of the piece. Next slide. This is just a mock-up of the concept on the wall. And Karis, I don't know if you want to jump in and say anything about the concept and about the property owner and what's going on in Asiatown.
Yep, absolutely. Hi, everyone. Kara Singh, Asiatown Project Manager with Midtown. Thanks, Joe. This was a great overview. I just wanted to know, as Graffiti Heart is a program partner in Powwow, we really did just let them kind of run with the idea and the project for this. But we did work with a number of stakeholders to run the concept by them, of course, with the property owner as well as some other key stakeholders in the neighborhood. And again, I think this is really different from some other artwork in the neighborhood, but consensus just being that it really draws from a different generation and a different group in the neighborhood. Asiatown, I think, is very diverse and just age and race and culture. And so I think this has the opportunity to engage a younger generation. Again, Gundam is a huge anime manga from, as Joe mentioned, that around the 80s and kind of a generational cultural piece. So we've had a lot of interest in people who just are remembering watching it when they were younger and kind of really drawn towards the movement and vibrancy in the piece.
Thank you. Commission members?
I move approval. Downing.
Second, Fluker.
We have a motion, second, further discussion. Call the roll, please.
Bowen,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Paul.
I believe Stami was abstaining from the vote.
Okay, thank you. And Slide.
Yes.
Congratulations, good luck.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Next are lot consolidation lot splits. This is for permanent parcel number 10608 024 025 026 027 and 028, located on East 65th Street. Who's here for this, Maurice?
Yeah, Dan
Daniel
Bickerstaff.
Bickerstaff.
Go ahead, Dan.
Good morning, David and commission members. We also have representatives from the development team. Angela Bennett and Kevin Lynn, I believe, are also on the call. We're very excited to present to you our residential development plan. This is phase one of a multi-phased residential development between Lexington and Wade Park Avenue, what we call the Lee Park District. As you can see from the renderings, we have two offerings at this point that comprise 6 lots, which again, we're calling phase one, where we have a 2,200 square foot structure to the left, a modern strategy, and they're both modern, but the 1,800 square foot offering really starts to speak to the vernacular of the neighborhood with the front porch. We did receive the City Planning Commission Housing Task Force approval back in March. We also received our zoning variances, which were minor, last month. So we're in the process of seeking our building permit. And I believe this is what triggered this particular presentation before you guys. We approached the project in terms of subdividing the property. Next, Maurice. You can see we consolidated the property and subdivided it into 6 equal parcels, and they're 38 feet 4 inches each with their frontages, and that triggered the zoning variances that were required. But initially, we were going to build 5 to preclude any type of issues with the subdivision presentations. So you can move forward, Maurice. So again, we're just cycling through our submittals to the building department. Each of the 2,200 square foot homes are anchored or anchoring the development of phase one with 4 1,800 square foot homes centrally located. You can cycle through these pretty quickly, Maurice. Okay. So you can see the strategy of basically having bookends with the larger, you can stop here, with the larger structures on both the north and south ends of this development piece. Again, East 65th runs north to south, obviously. You can see in our photograph the aerial illustrating the context and our proximity to Lee Park. With the larger structures, we'll have upper decks as an option. So we have nice vistas of the neighborhood, which has a very robust history. And, you know, given the pioneers of trying to move back into this neighborhood, we're very excited about that the fact that the houses are pre-sold, which sort of speaks to, you know, the fact that there's a market for these structures. With regard to the context, if you start at the bottom of each of one of the rows or columns of photos, we start at the north end of East 65th, illustrating our property to the east on the right side, which is a vacant lot. You can see the housing vernacular in image 3.0 looking north. With this particular one has it's a 2-family house with a front porch. And then finally, there's a multi-family structure anchoring our development to the north. And again, moving back to the south, you'll see that multi-family house structure in 2.0. And again, the vacant lots that'll be consolidated and subdivided. Next, Maurice. So this further illustrates the existing configuration of the property prior to consolidating and subdividing. What's interesting about this development is there's not only East 65th Street as a residential access point, but we have an alleyway, East 66 Place, which provides us the opportunity to approach the houses vehicularly from the rear and eliminate any driveways off of East 65th Street. Next. So again, at this point, when we prepared this drawing, we weren't quite sure how we were going to distribute the offerings, but as you can see, the larger 2,200 square foot house to the south, they all have attached garages, 2-car garages, and there is a private mid yard for the 2,200 square foot home. And again, we've to the north, we're anchoring another 2,200 square foot. As mentioned, you can see the access from East 66 Place. Next. And again, this drawing was prepared by City Architecture. As you can see, the overall comprehensive development strategy is to, again, build the homes in phase 1 and subsequently move to the north with additional single-family structures and multi-family structures, townhomes, and the like. So it's a very comprehensive residential design project, and we're very excited about the opportunity that this site presents us. Next. So we could actually go through each one of the houses' design strategy, but if there's any questions or comments at this point, again, mentioning we've been approved by the housing subcommittee.
Yeah,
So we
Dan,
want to belabor that point.
Dan, we're not here for design review.
Right.
This is for the
Gotcha.
lot split and lot consolidation. So commission members,
I move approval.
Second.
we have a motion second, further discussion. Hey, Dan, I just want to say I find both the houses you showed very attractive.
Mhm.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
We
call
have
roll.
Director Collier with his hand raised.
Oh, Director?
Yes, I just want to emphasize the work of the development group here. One of the things that you see with this configuration is that we wanted to make sure that this was a walkable block, and how the designs are situated really takes advantage of the alleys to the back, which is a really great treatment that promotes walkability. There were no front-loaded garages on this, which is something that we try to avoid citywide. So just want to emphasize that this group has been working very closely with the department on this. And this is on 66th Street. There's very significant importance for 66th Street, given that it's really the main spine that leads from Euclid Corridor into the heart of the Huff community. I believe Councilman Jones is also on the line. But this is a project that we are all in very much support of. The Cleveland Foundation and their investment on in the Euclid Avenue area and around 66 also creates really good opportunity to connect the neighborhood to the asset that is also Euclid Corridor as well as League Park. So I just want to express the importance of this effort and also our support for this endeavor. Thank you.
Thanks, Director. Councilman, do you have something you want to add?
Without a doubt. Thank you so much, Chairman, and thank you to the commission. The community is very, very excited about this project, to the point, as Mr. Bickerstaff stated, we don't have enough houses. So they'll be coming back to you soon to get some more lots, because so many people want to move into the neighborhood, and they're really excited about this beautiful structures to be built right in a place that people wouldn't expect it. So thank you guys so much. Thank you to the team, Frontline Development. Thank you so much to Director Collier. Thank you to the commission and Cleveland Foundation as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The roll, please.
Bowen,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Fluker,
Abstain.
Curry,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Slythe.
Yes.
All right, good luck. Looking forward to seeing them up.
Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you, you too. Permanent parcel number 007070029 and 030. This is 2314 and 2316 West 37th Street. Who's here for this one?
Hi, this is Byron Bonamici, representing Cleveland Bricks.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm ready to begin. If that's all right. Okay. So I apologize for the layout of the pictures. We're gonna go from right to left. That is the neighbor's house. And so our goal here was we have a large parcel that's 50 feet. And then we've gotten pre-approval for acquiring a 20-foot city land bank parcel, which is right next to this house that you see with the red door here. And so our intentions are, and the middle picture and the left picture are there's a chain link fence there on our parcel that we plan on removing with the development. And you can go to the next slide. And that is just more of our parcel there. You can see the stake at the end of the chain link fence, and at the on the left hand side, it's kind of cut off there. It wasn't cut off yesterday, but it goes up until that tree line that you see from the end of the chain link fence to the tree line on the left hand picture. That's our 50-foot parcel. And you can go to the next slide. So this is the aerial. And yeah, there's the full extent of the parcel that you see on the left picture there. And so as you can see from the aerial, our intent is to combine the 50-foot parcel and the 20-foot parcel to then split it. What we're doing, and we worked this out with the neighbors with the help of Matt Moss and Terry in the land bank, we're going to split a 4-foot section off of the 20-foot parcel and give it to the neighbors. They'd like a driveway, a usable driveway, and 4 foot is enough for them to be able to do that with their current land. And then we're going to create 2 33-foot parcels for single family development. And you can go to the next slide. And so these are the proposed dimensions and layout of our future development. We've come to an agreement with city planning on the layout and how they like it. And we also wanted to accommodate the neighbors with the 4-foot split that you see there. We can go to the next slide unless there are any questions. And this is our final lot split that we're seeking approval for today.
Thank
Coming
you,
to the
Commissioner.
applicant, I don't understand what that 4-foot section is. Is it an easement? Is it going to revert back to the other property owner? I'm not really sure what that means. So yes, there's going to be 3 separate legal descriptions created from the split. That 4-foot parcel is going to be completely independent, and then it's going to be consolidated with the neighbors. We're giving it to the neighbors, and it'll become part of their parcel. Thank you. But they'll be responsible for the consolidation.
This is Lillian. I'd like to move approval and thank you. I mean, I think sometimes we get lot splits, for my opinion, that don't make a lot of sense. I think this is a really excellent thing to do for the neighbors and to get 2 houses and also the rear loaded garages. So thank you very much. And I move approval.
Second. Okay.
We have a motion second. Further discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Bowen,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Slight.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Permanent parcel number 002-31095 and 049-5408 Ithaca Court. Who's here for this one?
We have Chad Jones from Cleveland Bricks, I believe.
Go ahead, Chad.
Yes. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. I want to say first off, I work for Cleveland Bricks, but this is actually for me, not has nothing to do with Cleveland Bricks. And thank you all for hearing this out. So I actually live next to this parcel, these parcels. And if you want to scroll down, you can see the current state of this house as it has been. There's an overhead view. So this, you can kind of go through this. There's not much there. This is in the Detroit Shoreway neighborhood, part of the Eco Village on 54th and Ithaca Court. So what I needed to do in order to get funding to purchase this through the bank was to consolidate these lots. There's two parcels there. The house was on one, and then the yard basically was on the other. And it was split, I believe, in the 80s. Nobody for a long time had known who owned the house or could get a hold of the owner. I happened to meet him earlier this summer. If you see right there, the house directly above the 5408 Ithaca Court is where I live. My plan, of course, is to purchase this lot to tear down this house or to stabilize it if that is at all possible. I'm pretty sure that Councilman Zone, I believe, is probably familiar with this house. I did talk to Adam Davenport. He is very familiar with the house as well. It's been an eyesore. The plan moving forward would be for me to purchase this lot and my house, and to then have a yard, and just to get rid of this problem house.
Thank you. Matt, I saw you were on the phone. Are you still there?
I am. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First time I'm seeing this, so I'm unfamiliar. Mr. Jones is absolutely right. The house is an eyesore. It's a lovely little court. It's in the heart of the Cleveland Eco Village. We have our Eco Village community garden just down this area. I would be supportive contingent upon this being built out as an owner-occupied situation. So I understand if...
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I have no opposition.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Commission members?
I move approval. Downing.
Second. Slight.
We have a motion and second. Further discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Bowen,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Slight.
Yes.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
New townhouse in the two-family district, permanent parcel number 007-08-178 and 119. This is for Fulton Road Townhomes. Who do we have for this?
Michael Horton with Horton Harper Architects.
Hey, Michael, go ahead, please.
Good morning. Okay. I'll go to the next slide. Okay. So we are working with Cleveland Bricks on the site for the Fulton Road Townhomes, which occur in between Forest Court and Monroe Avenue along Fulton Road. You can see the site location on the aerial here, and we recognize that we're here pretty early, coming to you with only site plans, with an idea of how the parcels would be split and configured. but we think that's a good thing. We want to get feedback before we took the project to the next stage. We just want to get an understanding of this type of density, if organized correctly, is acceptable to the Planning Commission. So if we take a look at the aerial view here, you can see that we're kind of right at the threshold here of, when heading northbound into Ohio City. It's kind of the gateway. Across the street, we have the Woodland Cemetery. On the other side of Siam, there is some new development. This is a bit of a dated aerial, but there are some new single-family homes on the corner. On the corner of Monroe and Fulton, we have the Scrapcom scrapyard. And on the other end of Forest Court, we do have you can see up in the top right corner, we've got a commercial structure that goes right up to the property line along Fulton. At the bottom right corner, this is a view looking north along Fulton. As you turn down Monroe, it goes down to single-family residences, and that single-family residence directly adjacent is a 2-story with a gable roof. So, we're approximately 25 feet in height there. If we could move to the next slide, we could show you what we are proposing. So on the left, you can see the current configuration of the parcels and what is existing. We do have a single-family residence directly adjacent to the parcel on Monroe, and there's another single-family residence which technically has a Monroe address, but it has a little bit more frontage on Forest Court. So over to the right, the idea is to find a way to bring residential density to the neighborhood, but minimize the amount of curb cuts. We did have a site plan previously that actually had a curb cut off of Monroe. We shared that with OCI and Trimble, and rightly so, there were some concerns about sight lines and having cars go in and out. Given the proximity of that adjacent residence at 3412 Monroe, it was really hard to see pedestrian traffic along the sidewalk. So we reconfigured this for a 3-townhome scheme. All the entrances are along Fulton, and there's one curb cut off of Forest Court. We wanted to provide enough vehicular maneuverability so cars could pull in facing forward into their garages and then back out of the garage, turn around, and pull out facing forward so there are adequate sight lines for any car going in. All entrances would be off of Fulton, would have sort of a recessed stoop porch. And we do have active habitable living space on the first floor for each one as well. The townhouse that is on the corner of Fulton and Monroe has a much larger footprint, which gives us some flexibility on that 3rd floor, because these would be 3-story townhomes, to start to step down the roof line. So it is a little bit, the scale is more contextual for the single-family residences along Monroe. This development would adhere to the townhouse code. Another issue that we would articulate and enhance that we're mindful of is that we do have garages, facing Fulton, and those would be addressed on the facade with glazing and articulated, well-detailed cladding, so as to not have those spaces appear to be a blank wall. So really, we're here to just sort of get this in front of the Planning Commission and see if this is when we do come back in front of HDRS and the Block Club. They weren't actually meeting this month, but we will present this to them with more detailed plans. We want to make sure that this level of density is adequate, given that we do have a 3-unit townhouse use in the 2-family district. That's all.
Thank you. Commission members?
I mean, I see that from my perspective, I think that the rear loaded access drive works, and And I think that I'm okay with this. I would have liked to just see a massing just because to understand it. So I don't know if you have one by chance. Is there a massing for this? No. Okay. But
No, not on this presentation.
okay. But I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Further discussion. Michael, call the roll, please.
Bowen,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Sly.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
I think we have to take out of order here under the mandatory referrals. And correct me if I'm wrong, Director, but Dave Ebersol has a meeting he has to go to. So are we doing the TIF ordinance numbers 751-2020?
Yes.
Okay, so authorizing the mayor and supply to acquire and reconvey properties presently owned by CC Superior Holdings LLC, put the city in the chain of titles for a TIF. Go ahead, David.
Great, thank you for taking this for me. I appreciate it. This would authorize us to enter into the chain of title for a non-school TIF. This project is for the location of Cross Country Mortgage to downtown Cleveland on 21st Street in Superior. They've outgrown their space in the suburbs and are going to be moving downtown, bringing over 400 jobs to the city. We also have some forgivable loan and job creation grant funding into this project as well. But this is a great opportunity. They're going to do a mixed use development with their headquarters, historic rehab. They're applying for historic tax credits of these buildings. And it'll be a great thing for Superior Avenue once they move down here and get moving. So this is the first step in implementing a TIF on the property, and we're really excited to be moving this forward.
Thank you, David. Commission members?
Move approval, Downing.
Second, Paul.
We have a motion and second. Further discussion. Call the roll, please.
Bowen,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
Curry. Lillian, are you there?
Sorry, yes. Apologize. Yes.
Paul? Sly.
Yes.
Thank you, David.
Thank you very much.
So resolution number 691-2020, declaring the intent to vacate portions of 66th Street Place, extending from Lexington Avenue to Quibby Avenue. Who's here for this one?
We have Rick Swatowski.
Hey, Rick.
Good morning, everybody. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Yes, if you go to the next slide, please, we can see where the intended vacation is to be. One more. Thank you. The Cleveland Public Library is in the process of designing a new Huff branch that will be built on the property that they intend to acquire from the City Land Bank at the corner of East 66th Street and Lexington Avenue. There's an alleyway called East 66th Place that runs north and south between Lexington and Quimby Avenues. The parcel the Cleveland Public Library intends to acquire are located on either side of East 66th Place. The alley is no longer being used for access as it is unimproved. And you can actually see a site plan if we go to the next slide, please. So with that, we're requesting authorization to move forward.
Thank you, Rick. How about utilities down 66? Are there utilities going down there? And how do they plan on addressing that?
If there are utilities within any type of vacated area, they retain an easement through that area. So they can always come back and work on their utilities. That's common to any type of vacation that is done.
Yeah, I know. I just, sometimes some uses don't have any utilities. I just didn't know if you knew if they did or didn't.
At this particular 66 place, I do not know. If you wish to get that information, we can make an inquiry.
That's all right. I was just wondering. All
We
right,
have, Mr. Bowen, we also have Director Collier with his hand raised.
Director.
Just want to call into the strategic importance of 66th Street. And this is further illustrates how critical 66th Street is with this institutional development. Again, 66th Street will become the main spine leading into Huff from the south and extending north. So I just want to call your attention and keep your attention on the strategic importance of 66th Street, because there will be more to come with respect to land development and also infrastructure items before the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Commission members?
Approval, Downing.
Fluker. Second. Sly.
Okay, we have a motion second. Further discussion? Hearing none, call the roll.
Bowen,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Sly.
Yes.
Thank you. Good luck, Rick.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day, everyone.
The next one is 7/02/2020. This one was tabled. This is for a tree commission. And before we asked for it to come off the table, Director, do we have some, is this going to be presented today? And why is there a tree commission?
So just to provide just a little bit of a context here, this was actually introduced and has been reviewed by the administration. We have Jason Wood on the line, who's going to outline the administration's position with respect to this particular piece. So Mr. Wood, I believe, is on the line and he has a presentation.
Okay, so we are going to hear something. So first we have to take it off the table. So can I get a motion?
I move to take it off the table, Downing.
Second. Sly.
We have a motion second. Call the roll, please.
Bowen,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Fluker, August,
He said yes.
I did. Okay, I couldn't hear him. Curry,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Sly.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Director Collier mentioned, my name is Jason Wood. I'm the city's Chief of Sustainability. Also Director Cox and Chief Brown as well. They've been pretty actively involved as we've done our internal review. I think I don't want to belabor this too much, but I think this all starts from a good place in that we're all committed to reestablishing the tree canopy in the city of Cleveland. I think we all know and recognize that there are some challenges associated with that, and that trees do have a pretty impactful benefit from a long-term planning and quality of life standpoint in our neighborhood. And I've got some of the benefits that we always talk about listed here, but if you can jump to the next slide, you can see that these aren't just intangible kind of value statements. There's real actual economic and measurable benefit here. So our canopy, as you can see, really helps us produce environmental benefits in excess of $11 million every year. The carbon storage has a $26 million impact over the lifetime of the canopy. And we also see some pretty positive health outcomes. So nearly $3.7 million of avoided negative health impacts can be traced back to having the tree canopy that we have now. So we're all committed to kind of continuing that effort and really helping grow that. If you can jump to the next slide. I think where we want to have some conversation around the tree commission is how does this fit into the overall kind of coordinated approach that we've developed over time. So there is currently a tree commission outlined in Cleveland Codified Ordinances. It's in 16301.03, but it has effectively been dormant since, as best as we can trace, and Director Cox certainly has more institutional memory on this than I do, it has effectively been dormant since the early 2000s. We think, and as we kind of look through this, there are several factors that have kind of gotten us to this point. I think since originally kind of put in place, the professionalization level of the urban forestry staff has been increased pretty significantly. We've reached a point now where all of our city foresters are certified arborists under the International Society of Arboriculture. So we've kind of brought in more people. Our current manager in this section is also a qualified risk assessor, so a tree risk assessor qualification. So we've brought in an increasing amount of resources into our urban forestry. We've also increased kind of the level of professional qualification that they have. I think we've also looked kind of, if you look back during this interim period where this commission has been dormant, we've created the Office of Sustainability, which has really been focused on kind of the environmental side of this and really trying to link and facilitate coordination and collaboration between the various groups that are kind of active in this space and really trying to help develop some of the long-term planning. And that long-term planning has been undergoing for several years now. I think we can trace back probably the most significant effort to 2015 when we coordinated the development of the Cleveland Tree Plan. We brought together 25 organizations who are working in and around this space to really try to put some structure to all of that work and really try to create some tangible goals. And I think we've through the Tree Coalition process, which is a separate entity, established a goal of 30% canopy by 2040. That's been adopted by the city into the Climate Action Plan. I think we do have to be somewhat honest with ourselves about that there are some challenges related to funding, planning locations, the ability to meet that through public planning versus private planning, the availability of tree inventory, the actual number of trees. Do we have enough in the region to meet that goal? But we're working through that. We've also seen a pretty significant increase in funding, particularly in the last year. For this, we have added, Mayor Jackson committed to adding an additional $1 million of funding for tree planting on an annual basis for the next 10 years, which is significantly increasing our ability to kind of get that planting done. I think for the 5 years before this year, we were averaging about 400 trees planted a year. With this, we'll be able to ramp that up kind of as we look at to almost 2,000 trees this year. And that will kind of be the consistent pace moving forward. And I think since kind of the early 2000s, we've seen an expanded community commitment to preservation. We've got more organizations working in this space very actively to try to make some progress, and that requires a lot of coordination. And I mentioned the Tree Coalition in passing there, but the Cleveland Tree Coalition is really an organization that has evolved to help with some of that coordination and really has taken on some of the critical roles related to the integration between what we do on the public side versus the private side planning. Is really going to have to play a critical role in fundraising. I mentioned that 30% by 2040 goal for canopy coverage. That's going to require the planting of about 30,000 trees a year. And if we look at that strictly through public planning costs, that's about a $12 to $15 million investment that will be required there. So we are going to have to take a look at fundraising and then also facilitating some of the public education dimensions. So if we can skip to the next one, just for background, the Tree Coalition, I apologize, it's a little bit hard to see here. On the left, you have kind of the executive committee members of the Tree Coalition. So you have the City of Cleveland, Cuyahoga County, the Metro Parks, Trust for Public Land, Western Reserve Land Conservancy, Environmental Health Watch, the Sewer District, Holden Forest and Gardens, Cleveland Neighborhood Progress. But as we've started this, it's grown and it's expanded. So you see kind of on the right side, and then all of the members who have signed on to be members of the Tree Coalition. So in total, we've got about 40 organizations who are working through this process to kind of work very aggressively and very collaboratively to restore the tree canopy in Cleveland. So if you kind of jump to the next one, I think some of our kind of more general concerns with the ordinance as it's drafted is that the long-term planning has really kind of been underway for quite some time, and it's incurred with input from multiple stakeholders. So as I mentioned, we put the Cleveland Tree Plan together initially in 2015. It's been updated a little bit earlier this year, so we kind of have some sense of where we've gone, where we've made progress, and kind of those next steps. As we look at the Tree Commission, is this going to insert another organization into something that's already fairly complicated and collaborative? We established in the Tree Plan in 2015 this goal of establishing a unified voice and formalizing partnerships, and we've worked very diligently over the last 5 to 6 years to really do that. So that unified voice, we've kind of focused that on our internal processes. So all of the internal city agencies and departments, whether that's sustainability, urban forestry, public works, coordination with CPP around trimming, looking at how we do that kind of internal process in a unified fashion, and then really utilizing that Tree Coalition process to formalize some of those external partnerships as well. The duties outlined, some of these are outlined in the existing 16301, some are new to what's being proposed, but a lot of them are already underway. So completing a tree inventory, for example, we're looking through our own internal data as we looked out into the public space on what the cost would be to do a full tree inventory and assessment. We came back with estimates, and it's a wide range, and I apologize for the wideness of it, between $500,000 and $1 million. So what we wanted to do was take a look and dig through our own internal data. We track all of this. Our foresters are collecting data on all of our trees through their normal course of business to the ANSI A300 level, which is kind of the industry standard that we want to pursue here. We have data on 77,000 trees, so we want to evaluate that, do a little QA/QC so we can fully understand the scope and the breadth of what we have to do so we can more effectively use that money as opposed to taking it away from planning to do an inventory when it's going to be repeating work that's already done. The canopy goal I've talked a little bit about. I've mentioned some of the increases we've seen in planning. We've also have shifted to an equity focused model for planning. So as we're trying to kind of look at the structure of where we plant trees and how we do it, we're trying to tie it into places where we know are deficient from a canopy coverage standpoint. And we've spent a lot of time and effort kind of aligning our preservation, maintenance, and trimming standards as much as possible with industry standards. So we try to follow the ANSI A300, the ISA best management practices model. So a lot of what's outlined here has kind of already taken place. The law department also does have a few concerns in terms of how these duties go beyond an advisory function and have the ability to potentially commit resources outside of our normal administrative and legislative processes. And then it's a minor thing, but we weren't completely clear as we read through this on whether it applies to public or private trees only. So with that, I think I'll stop. I could go on and on, but I think I'll stop there and answer any questions that there may be.
Commission members, questions?
Mr. Chairman, we had Councilman McCormick with his hand raised earlier.
Councilman, go ahead.
Thank you. Can you hear me, Mr. Chairman?
I can.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and it's good to see my former colleagues on the Planning Commission. Although Councilman Slife is a lot smarter and harder working than I am, I do miss seeing you all, and so it's good to see everyone this morning. And thank you, Chair, for allowing the time here to say a few words about this ordinance. Councilman Casey and I are the co-sponsors on this ordinance, and I want to just kind of give a brief overview of why we're so excited about this ordinance and happy that you're hearing it today along its legislative path through council. So the Tree Commission, which as the chief noted, has been established for quite a while, but has failed to be active due to the lack of appointees to it. What Councilman Casey are excited about is reestablishing this commission to bring in the community into the process of Cleveland. We're very excited about the larger partnerships around reforestation throughout the region. And we know that it is critically important that residents and experts here in the city of Cleveland have a role in the way that we're reforesting the city of Cleveland and have a voice in that process. So that is really why we're excited about this ordinance. We know that there is no time to waste, Mr. Chairman, when it comes to climate change. We're not waiting for it. It's not on the horizon. It is here. And one of the most fundamental aspects of fighting climate change is making sure that we are reforesting our city. And that's why it's exciting that we are taking on these types of initiatives. The bottom line here, Mr. Chairman, is that there's work to do in the city of Cleveland as we think about reforestation. And we know that we've made some great progress around allocating dollars to plant new trees. But we know that there are still a lot of issues when it comes to our ability to maintain our canopy in the city of Cleveland. I'll use one example, Mr. Chairman, of a tragedy that I would characterize in Ward 3, the Fulton Road project, which was a great investment of $9 million. Because of the lack of pre-planning for that project, when it came to forestry, we had to remove 50 healthy, mature trees along the corridor. So, that is an example of where kind of the system, quite frankly, failed to really take into account the importance of our trees and to protect them in the process. So, we absolutely must aggressively plant trees, and we're working as hard as we can to do that. But just as important is to protect the existing healthy canopy that we have, and we know that's been an issue throughout the city of Cleveland. So this ordinance, what it does is it as we should be seeking, it brings in the smartest people in our community to help us advance the goals of the Department of Sustainability, of reforesting our city by bringing on an internal and external experts on tree canopy and tree preservation and how to best reforest our city. This is a best practice that we've seen cities across America do. Our counterparts in Pittsburgh and other cities have these active commissions that support the work of the city of Cleveland, or their respective city when it comes to the canopy. So again, Chair, this has been a thoroughly researched and thought out process. I will say that I believe I wasn't on the last call or the last planning commission meeting where this was heard, but it's my understanding that it was postponed to allow for conversation between the administration and council. This is the first time, Mr. Chairman, that I am seeing this presentation. I was not contacted by anyone in the administration to discuss this ordinance, and I believe my co-sponsor was not either. Of course, I am always willing to sit down and to discuss the merits or details of an ordinance with the administration, and I still welcome that opportunity. But for logistical purposes, we were not contacted to discuss this ordinance. So this is the first time I'm seeing this information. And again, I'm always happy along this process to meet with Chief Wood or anyone else that would like to discuss this ordinance. But again, to me, what this does, Mr. Chairman, is it brings in a group of community experts to support the work of reforesting the city of Cleveland. It's a best practice that we've seen cities across America adopt. And this ordinance has been thought out and vetted through our partners in the community and with our legal staff as well. So again, an important piece to ensure that the city of Cleveland is doing everything it can to fight climate change here in the city and ensure that we're not only planting new trees, but that we are protecting the existing healthy canopy that we have, which has kind of been a problem throughout the city, especially when it comes to the public right-of-way and infrastructure investments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, we have just Fluker with his hand raised and Councilman Brancatelli.
Well, here.
Someone mute. There's a lot of background noise going on. I don't know what's going on. Anyway.
Just before we go to Fluker, Councilman, since you're still on the phone, Carrie, if you remember when you were on planning, we talked about a tree bank, and I think that would be an interesting philosophy where there's trees that are taken down or trees that are not needed for a specific project. If you go into the bank and then go to other places it's used. So I think you might remember that when you were on the planning commission. But Fluker, go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah.
2 points. The first point is, as I recall, we tabled this particular request because the administration and council had not communicated. And it appears to be the issue here as well. Secondly, and more importantly, there needs to be a consolidated effort so that there's a continuum. And I'll give you an example because I don't like generalizing. We don't need a lot of armchair quarterbacks out there deciding what trees stay, what street trees go. And that's what's been happening. Whether it's on the planning level, whether it's at community development level, whether it's somebody, a developer telling us what should or should not happen. And I just don't think that has been totally vetted and figured out, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Maurice, who's next?
We had Councilman Brancatelli next.
Councilman.
All right. Thank you very much. And I certainly appreciate Chief Wood's presentation. And as Councilman McCormick stated, is the first that we're seeing it at council. And I understand, that the mayor released notice yesterday that there's free trees on a first come first served basis to be planted as part of our improving our tree canopy. This was part of our budget requests at the beginning of the year to set aside $1 million for the next 10 years, as Chief Wood spoke about. But that just also speaks to the communications that's not occurring, because we were not aware that that was that press release was going, it wasn't a press release, it was part of the COVID pandemic press release. I think the tree commission, as the councilman spoke, it was a long-standing commission, and as Chief Woods stated, over the years where the urban forestry department had been gutted, the tree commission was part of that gutting. And I think now that we're getting fully staffed and brought in a number of arborists, and that division has really stepped up in a big way. The tree canopy issue is an important issue across the city, and certainly having other folks meeting outside of City Hall is important. And I had sat in some of those tree commission meetings. I think having a tree commission in City Hall as part of our structure is incredibly important. I think having the ability to get these professionals very specific about the city of Cleveland and what our tree commission looks like, I think is reinstating what had been a long tradition is very important to us. So certainly support this legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Maurice?
Yes, we have Councilman Slife and Councilman Casey next.
Go ahead, Councilman.
I'm happy to go after Councilman Casey since he's a sponsor of the ordinance.
Okay. Councilman Casey.
Thank you, Councilman, and thank you, members of the commission. Just to follow up on Councilman McCormick and Brancatelli, we're not really trying to reinvent the wheel, and we're not trying to be another spoke or the missing spoke in a wheel that is already existing. This is something that was introduced that we were working on for over a year. As Fluker indicated, we tabled it for the administration to have conversation with us for a month, and we heard nothing. The closest we came was a conversation between myself and Director Collier. However, it wasn't specifically regarding this piece of legislation. It was how we should all be communicating and working together. But as far as the administration, this is the first time I'm seeing anything like this. I know the council is very supportive of this legislation. And again, we're not here to take the place of the coalition. We're here to worry about the city of Cleveland, the tree canopy, and the commission goes much, or the tree commission would go much deeper to that, right? I mean, we've got, broken sidewalks due to trees. We have infrastructure that's falling apart. We have people who are being charged thousands and thousands for city trees, and hopefully this commission will kind of look at all of that together and help solve the problem, working with the administration and not against them. So again, I'm a co-sponsor, and I'm 100% in support of this legislation and it moving out of the planning commission and going to city council. Thank you.
Councilman Slife.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm not an attorney, but people think I am. So in that spirit, I'm looking at the chapter 163 with which speaks to the tree commission, and to me, the duties or the organization, it says the mayor shall appoint a chairperson, and it shall meet once a month, and it shall adopt rules. So to me, it's not that we're reinventing the wheel; it's that we're working to implement the law. And, it's very honorable. They do great work, the Cleveland Tree Coalition. But to me, a lot of that focus is macro, high level planning. And what we deal with as council members is, those instances that Councilman Casey referred to, these more micro specific, a resident that's now looking at their third time going through the 50-50 tree or 50-50 sidewalk program because the tree keeps buckling the sidewalk, and is frustrated because there's seemingly no transparency that's easy to understand on, how it's determined if the tree gets removed or not. And I alluded to this in our last meeting, but there really is a consensus among many residents that, having a tree in the tree lawn is not ornamental and nice, but it's a source of frustration and anxiety that could cost people a lot of money, and people don't have tens of thousands of dollars to fix sewer lines and repair sidewalks and driveways. it's not to say that we should be removing trees, but by having a more transparent public process through a tree commission, I think that provides that's an important value to our residents and allows us to better navigate through not just the planting and maintenance of trees, but also all of the externalities that kind of derive from having trees in a urban environment. So, for that reason, I believe that there's value in passing this through planning commission as well and moving it, towards, further along in the legislative process.
Thank you, Councilman.
Chairman Bowen, we have Jason Wood, Councilman Zone, and August Fluker in that order. And Director Collier just raised his hand.
All right. Just start all over again.
No, I appreciate the time as chairman and members of the commission and to all the council members on the phone. And I think I would defer on some of the issues regarding tree damage sidewalk to Chief Brown and Director Cox. They're obviously much more familiar with that part of the process than I am. But I think Councilman Slife and his comments there hit on something that links back to something that Councilman Brancatelli actually raises, this notion that to a lot of residents, there is this concern. So this opportunity for residents to request trees really opened up because of the number of refusals that we get. So as we go through our tree placement process, we do give residents the opportunity to opt out of having a tree planted in their tree lawn. We see a decent number of refusals from that. So there is certainly something to that notion that we have to really work hard to find the locations for all of these trees. And that's why we opened up that process that Councilman Brancatelli referenced. But I don't know if Chief Brown or Director Cox want to address the tree damage sidewalk issues that Councilman Casey raised. I'll leave that to them to do so.
We then had Councilman Zone, August, and Director Collier.
Okay, great. Go ahead, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me remind my colleagues on the phone that trees are infrastructure. Too often we think about a raised sidewalk and they would sacrifice a 40-year-old tree that probably has another 200 years left just to fix a sidewalk that might last 15 years. So I would say slow your roll on how we approach trees. We need to exhaust all efforts as a municipal entity to save, maintain, and plant as many trees as possible. For over a decade, I've been funding a ward reforestation tree program because the city, previously to our commitment, our announcement of $1 million a year for the next 10 years, was not giving out free street trees. I've been planting trees in Ward 15 for over a decade. I've done a lot of policy work in this space around the tree preservation ordinance that this planning commission approved with accommodation. I've yet to see how that is playing out, but its main intent is to save trees at all efforts. The other component to this is just kind of the lack of communication. You hear the sense of frustration from my colleagues on council because we're not getting clear messages, and it seems like there is not a clear, logical, transparent process on how decisions are made with respect to trees. So we can throw a lot of money at a program like this, but unless we can function it and operate it and maintain that we're sharing information in real time, it's only going to be as successful as the implementation. The last comment I will make is that Chief Woods did a good presentation and overview of the complexity of our tree canopy. And as a result, this tree coalition has set out a very ambitious goal to increase that canopy and raise a considerable amount of money. Probably we have 20% or 20 million committed of a $100 million endeavor. So we have a lot farther way to go. Some of you heard the news about me transitioning from city council. I will be going to the Western Reserve Land Conservancy. The tree coalition now is going to, the Western Reserve Land Conservancy is going to become the fiscal agent. And they're going to hire an executive director, and that individual will report to me. So I would welcome the opportunity to have a conversation with my colleagues, as well as all the appropriate people in the administration, to see how we move forward. With the ultimate goal is to save trees, to treat trees and inoculate them when they're needed, to trim trees, and to share information in real time with the community, so there's a great communication and lack of frustration moving forward. I pledge to everyone on this phone that I will do that in my new role. And I'm neutral about this legislation moving forward.
Great comments, Matt.
Mr. Bowen, we have, just to remind you, we have Director Collier next, and Darnell Brown has also raised his hand.
Hey, you skipped me, Maurice. I was next. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Fluker.
I concur with Councilman Sohn. And again, one of the other questions that was raised when we tabled this last was, who owns it? Who's going to enforce it? Is it going to be 19 council people? I don't really understand how this structure is going to be beneficial if it's just simply another layer of bureaucracy. So I'm just trying to understand what this all means, because no one's answered that. We've been talking about trees, but we haven't talked about how it gets enforced, who owns it, and who's the bottom line. Thank you.
Okay, Director.
Yes. Reiterate something that's been discussed, and I tend to agree with August, and also concur with Jason Wood's presentation. There obviously needs to be more work done, and I'm not certain if a commission is the answer to all of that. One dynamic I want to add in with respect to this discussion is when we talk about bureaucratic layers. When we think about all of the principles of health, equity, sustainability, these things that the administration and everyone values, I think the challenge that often occurs is how they are implemented, administered, and enforced. And that's a very complex thing. And I think there needs to be a lot of thought put into that. But one component when we talk about this layering, we deal with development projects day in and day out. Our procedures are democratic and necessary, but they're also complex. And when we think about adding, layers of complexity to that, it also exposes us with respect to efficiency. So I think there needs to be a lot of thought given to the solution. From my standpoint, not certain, because again, I got the opportunity to digest this with some of my colleagues a little bit more, and I'm not sure that this is the answer. So I just wanted to put that on the record, and just state the fact that there needs to be more work. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to the members of the committee. Just a couple of comments. There was mention about sidewalks, tree trimming, and I just would like to state for the record, just so the committee is aware, that we did what we call a tree damage sidewalk pilot a number of years ago in Wards 1 and Wards 3. As a result of that, we implemented a tree damage sidewalk program that actually follows our resurfacing program. So every street that we resurface in the city of Cleveland, we also go down that street the next year and we fix all non-compliant sidewalks that are there. We also do tree trimming. We added that to the program last year. So we're doing tree trimming and non-compliant sidewalks as a part and parcel of our quality of life initiatives related to our citywide street resurfacing program, which has gone from doing 20, 30 streets a year to over 100 streets a year each year. So that's one way that we decided to have an effective strategy on how to address those issues and concerns. as far as this tree commission is concerned, one of the elements that my colleague Chief Wood mentioned early on in this presentation is the whole concern around capacity and the ability of tree nurseries to maintain or provide to us a level of resource that's required. Even the work that the Tree Coalition set out to do sets a lofty goal, but the ability for nurseries in the region to provide the level of infrastructure, as Councilman Zone mentioned, it would be a challenge. It's just not doable. So working through a strategy, which is what our existing staff is doing in urban forestry to determine both capacity and resource and type of trees in terms of species, et cetera. You mentioned the healthiness of our street tree canopy, whether unfortunately many locations where the wrong type of tree was planted in a street or a neighborhood. And as a result, that's why we have a lot of sidewalks buckling, et cetera. The tree line was too narrow, shouldn't have been planted there. So there's a lot of work that we have to do. But we've done that work in regards to the next thing that I would mention, which is just tree inventory. Even in the ordinance as proposed, it proposes to do a tree inventory. Where tree inventory, just legislating it doesn't get it done. It costs money. Where's the funding for that? And we tackled this issue about a year ago and determined that it would take upwards of $1 million to do tree inventory, and that's just in the city of Cleveland right away. Again, the ordinance as proposed doesn't determine whether or not we're talking about street trees in the right of way, or we're talking about trees on private property. So there's just some inherent issues with this thing. And so the issue of understanding how inventory works, what we determine by looking at our resources is that, hey, we had a number of databases that had inventory aspects in it. We figured out how to import that into a CityWorks application, and we've got about 80% of what it takes to do a citywide inventory. So what I'm saying is, in many respects, we're already doing this work, but we're doing it as a part and parcel of the enhancement and development of the Division of Urban Forestry as we move forward. And the last thing is just, I'm just concerned about adding yet another layer and a process that we already have several layers and processes in place to get this work done. So I'm just concerned that here we go again, trying to create something to solve a problem that we're already dealing with. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Mr. Bowen, we have Councilman McCormick.
Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that. And I should have stated in my prior comments, you know, I work with the Department of Urban Forestry on a regular basis, and we've got an exceptional group of folks from Ms. Kipp all the way down with her team. So I just wanted to be clear that by no means is this a reflection on urban forestry or their team. They've got a great team. They're extremely responsive. They care. They're trained. I mean, I can go on about how great of a team we have. So I just want to make sure, Mr. Chairman, that I have that on the record. At the end of the day, Mr. Chairman, this is about oversight. You know, and I believe that a government functions best when there is light shined on what it is doing on a day-to-day basis. And I think that this commission that is being proposed, that used to exist, is a way to provide transparency and oversight on the procedures going on at the city of Cleveland when it pertains to street trees. For example, the tree damage sidewalk program is probably one of the leading causes we cut down healthy trees in the city of Cleveland, because when we remove the sidewalk, we cut the roots and then therefore destabilize the tree. That's just an anecdotal example, but thinking creatively of how we can come up with different sidewalk materials to save trees, right? That's one example of what this type of support and oversight can provide for the city of Cleveland. So council people, we spend 95% of our time navigating the bureaucracy on behalf of our residents because they didn't get what they needed to get done. So trust me, not a single council person on this call is going to advocate to add more work to their plate. We have to navigate the bureaucracy every single day of our lives. It's the majority of our job. A trash can wasn't delivered, a pothole needs to be fixed, you name it, we get the calls. So trust me, there is not a single council person that's looking to add anything to their plate when it comes to navigating bureaucracy. Mr. Chairman, this is about oversight. This is about transparency. And this is about bringing the community together to support the city, not to be contrarian, to support the work that the city is doing when it comes to increasing and maintaining our tree canopy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. You know, I think I'm going to cut this off just because we have other matters, and I wasn't at the first meeting where they originally tabled it. It seems like there's some more work that needs to be done between council and the administration. You know, I'm happy to participate in that. It sounds like Matt's happy to participate in it. It sounds like the administration and council would participate in it. I think going back to what August said, and since I wasn't there, it's understandable by me that what was supposed to happen didn't happen, and maybe we need to take one more bite at this apple, because I feel right now that the commission just hearing both sides of it, and we're supposed to make a decision for something. And I don't think there's enough communication back and forth. So I think we should table it personally.
I agree. I don't think this is the planning commission's responsibility to arbitrate or mediate communication between the administration and council. That's not our charge. Our charge is here for, it's our civic responsibility to further the advancement of this community through development and sound planning. So for that reason, I'm going to request that we table this again and give the kids another chance to come to the table and talk to one another. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel personally. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if there is a motion to table, I'll be opposing it. I quite frankly, there's a feeling that the administration is stonewalling on this issue. This is not the end of the process. It moves into council committee. But you know, there was 2 weeks where no outreach was made to the two sponsors of the bill. To me, I think that, you know, forward progress will compel those conversations to occur.
Okay.
There's a motion on the table.
So we have one motion to table. Is there a second?
A second, Paul.
So there's a motion and second. Further comments or questions from commission members?
Lillian, I do have a question though. Is the administration opposing the moving of this legislation? I'm not clear on that.
Director?
I'm going to defer to Jason Wood, who's going to provide that comment.
Jason.
I'm sorry, I broke. I heard the beginning of your question.
So the question is, does the administration oppose this legislation?
As constituted now, yes.
Okay. Lillian?
That was my question. I got it. It was a yes or no.
So, Jason, if it benefits and you want me to be at those meetings, I'm happy to be there. But it would be great to set up those meetings, and what legislation, if any, needs to pass, and how do we move forward with this? So we have a motion second. Call the roll, please.
Bowen.
Yes.
Downing.
Yes.
Fluker.
Yes.
Curry.
No.
Tuttle.
Yes.
Slife.
No.
So we have 2 no's, but the motion carries. Good luck to everybody, and let me know if you want me involved with it. Thank you. So let's move on to Administrative approvals. Please take a look.
I'll move
I'll take a
approval.
motion once people review it.
I'll move approval, Slife.
Second, Downing.
Motion is second. Further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Bowen,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Fluker,
I had to abstain on item 5.
Curry,
I just wanted to check, because you went so fast. Was there a piece to accept, was there a piece on there to accept a grant for E66?
no, there's not.
Okay. And then it's, I just wanted to make sure I didn't have to abstain.
Paul,
Yes.
Slife,
Yes.
All right. We're moving on to design review. The first one is a freestanding electric message center for Holy Trinity Baptist Church, seeking final approval. Who's here for this?
We have Vicky Ricker, James Catledge, and Benjamin Harbaugh.
So if you can all raise your right hand, and do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer under the penalty of perjury? Please state your name when you say I do.
You're muted.
I apologize. I do, Vicky Ricker.
Is there anyone else?
There'll be Cindy with me in my office at Adam Signs.
Could she say I do in her name?
Yes, she did.
Oh, did she? Okay, great. Thanks. Go ahead, Vicky.
Okay. On behalf of Holy Trinity Baptist Church and Adam Signs, we're presenting brand new monument signage for the church. We will remove the existing signage and foundation, and we've been asked by the Southeast Design Review Committee to relocate the sign in the same yard space, but to the south by a few feet in a more spacious grass area. The new signage will have a brick base foundation. It will have an electric message center and also a new aluminum cabinet. And we're asking for approval.
Okay, did you see about design reviews comments, adding beveled edges, and you said relocating the sign and then the brick should match the brick on the building?
Yes, that's all been submitted.
Okay, and you're good with that?
Yes.
Okay. Commission members?
Move approval.
Second, Fluker.
We have a motion and second. Further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Bowen,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Fluker, Curry,
Yes.
Yes.
Slife.
Yes.
Good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you. So design review for Trumco Manufacturing Facility, new construction. This is at 17610 Miles Avenue. Who's here for this?
Philip Rosman. We have Philip Rosman and Tim Kraus.
If you both could raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer under the penalty of perjury?
I do.
I do.
Tim Kraus. Phil Rosman.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning, Commission and Mr. Chairman. This is a project for Tremco Incorporated. They're looking to expand their capability at 4475 East 175th Street in Cleveland, Ohio. It is a expansion of about approximately 115,000 square feet. It's two floors of production, manufacturing, 3 floors of support area. It'll lap over Warrensville Heights City, Cleveland and Cleveland City property line. We've issued a alternative engineering design to both building departments, which have been approved to be able to build over top of the property line. The existing conditions you can see here up on the screen. The properties to the right, which is to the east, are the Warrensville Heights properties, and then in front of the Momiko building is the proposed new building. Will lap over both of those. You have view 1 from Miles Avenue is towards the east, which is the Warrensville Heights property. View 2 is further as you go west, and then view 3 is an adjacent piece of property that is not occupied by Tremco, but they have purchased, recently vacated East 176th Street. There is a plot consolidation for those plots associated with that, and also plot consolidation for the Warrensville Heights properties. If you proceed to the next slide, please. These are some 3D renderings of the proposed new building. There were a couple comments from the design review boards about the windows in the circular portion on the northwest portion of the building, which we have updated in these views. There was also the latest comments from the design review were to increase those heights of those windows, which we plan on doing. You proceed to the next slide. This is a rendering of the facility. If you're looking southwest, it's the northeast corner here. The front where the glass is, it will be the support area. The first floor of the support area will be maintenance and mechanical type of facility. The second floor will be more for employees with locker rooms, break rooms and such. And then the third floor in that front area will be a office type of area. You see they'll have truck docks on the west side, and then there are also truck docks on the south side of the building. Proceed to the next slide, please. This is our overall plot plan. We have highlighted there the existing parcels and the city line. Kind of gives you a perspective of the existing property, and then our new proposed with column lines. You can it kind of outlines and possible truck traffic. Next slide, please. This gives you a better view of where the parcels are that will be consolidated. Like I said, are in process. You can see the truck docks on the west side of the new proposed, and then truck docks also on the south. Proceed to the next slide, please. So these are just site layout plans and grading plans that we included in our design review package. We had an initial design review, I believe, on August 23rd, and then a follow-up on September 23rd. Next, the couple slides are just your standard grading plans and such, site layout, and proceed. This is a front view of a street view. There will be fencing, security fencing around the new building, matching it'll line up with the existing fencing to give a secure site. Proceed to the next one, please. Just some road profiles and elevations from a site perspective. Following slide. So there was requested in our initial review to have some buffer landscaping to kind of buffer the trucking activities that will happen between existing property, Harold Salad, and a new proposed. We have added that street buffering in between the two buildings, and then also buffering in front of the new parking area, which is west of East 176th Street. We have received comments from the second go around with the design review board, and we will take those to note and adjust the landscaping for their recommendations. We do have 2 plans being shown, or an alternate. It's dependent. There are power poles and lights, street lights, or power poles and AT&T cable data power lines that Tremco is investigating on getting relocated to underground to provide a better street view and present this building. So the first, if those are removed, we would have taller type of shade trees to kind of at the landscape in front of the north side of the building. And the next slide, please, shows kind of just a lower buffering of the decorative fence. Just didn't want to go too high and create like kind of like an alley in front of that fence. So there'll be low ground type of plantings. Next slides, please. And then we just get into our architectural floor plans. There'll be storage of raw materials on the floor, and then also bulk storage on the west side in silos, both interior and exterior. Here you can see the front support area on the ground floor with maintenance and mechanical type rooms. Next slide, please. This is of the second floor of the second floor of the support area, and which has your locker rooms, lunch rooms, kind of employee amenities, and there'll also be an equipment platform to service the inside mix tanks. Next slide is the production second floor and the third floor of the support area to the north. Next slide, please. And then we just have a roof plan, just kind of showing you where the drainage will be, roof lines and such. These are our elevations of the proposed building. It is a tall building due to the requirements of the process inside. So you kind of get an understanding of the scale of the project from a height perspective. The next slide, please. Just more elevations, street views. Next slide, please. Interior cross sections of the building. You kind of get the picture of where the second floor will be, an equipment platform, and the height from the second floor to the roof to allow for the mixing equipment, the process equipment. This is a longitudinal section going from the south side truck docks all the way to the support area to the north. And then we just preliminary, we had to submit for Warrensville Heights also, and they requested some preliminary fire protection plans, and these are the next several slides. Just kind of indicating the zonings, different types. And then one more, please, a couple more. And then our HVAC roof plan kind of tells you, you go next one, it's a better presentation. Where our possible RTU units will be up on the roofs. And so the front will be, they'll have the screening on the front side to screen the units above the support area from a street view, even though it'll be pretty decently high anyway. So you possibly seeing those will be tough, especially with the screen wall. Next slide, please. And then we just have some street lighting. Street lighting, parking area lighting and side lighting to properly light the facility. That's the parking area on the west side. The next several slides, I don't know if we necessarily go through all of them, but they kind of indicate the products that we will be using or propose to use for the skin of the building. With it being a Tremco building, we will try to use Tremco products, and they have a very broad range of products. So we're going to try to highlight a couple in different areas. The numbers of these products refer back to the elevation so you can understand what we're proposing where. You want to check back and forth through your review. The main portion of the building will be this. We're proposing to have a drive-it system on the previous slide, please, which is just the metal light system, insulated panel type of system with a textured front. fronting. And then they have a product called the Drive It New Brick. That was the teal portion you saw on the elevation. So we're taking advantage of their Drive It New Brick system. And various accents will have different types of product also. There's a product called the DuraWall, which we're going to use for some of the forming for the concrete. The circular portion of the building on the northwest side, we're going to try to use this Dura wall system as a showcase for Tremco. It's just an insulated form for the concrete. The glass curtain wall will be Connor system. And the next slide is kind of gives you an understanding of the color of the product to be used on the front glazing. And then, so some of we will require some firewalls. So we will use a Kingspan insulated metal panel to get the ratings required. I think that might be the last ones. The roofing, we will be using a Tremco system. And then this is an approval letter from Mr. Commissioner Vanover regarding the alternative engineering design to not have to build a party wall down the city limit line between Cleveland and Warrensville Heights. It is not conducive for the process to have a wall separating the buildings on the Cleveland side and Warrensville Heights side. That's just the approval letter. And with that, that's the completion of the presentation.
Thank you.
Mr. Bowen, we have Marka Fields from our staff.
Marka?
Yeah, sorry, I had to unmute. Just wanted to make a note that on your agenda, I believe it says that it's for schematic approval. This is actually for final approval. There was an error in what was sent to Michael Bozak, but it is for final approval and with the conditions that the committee listed on landscaping and the windows.
And they said that they were going to adhere to those.
They are.
Thank you, Marka. Commission members?
I move approval, adding the, with the conditions that have been stated.
As a final approval, correct?
For final approval. Mm-hmm.
Second, Fluker.
Okay, we have a motion second. Further discussion. Call the roll, please.
Bowen. David?
I said yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just don't, I'm not hearing some of these. Downing.
Yes.
Booker. Curry.
Yes.
Yes.
Slife.
Yes.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, design review for the near west. This is Cooper Flats Building 1, and I guess we're going to have a Cooper Flats Building 2. They're two separate cases. Who's here for this?
We have Wesley Harper.
I'm here, David.
Hey, Wes. So raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Go ahead, Wes.
Okay, so here we are on the southern end of Duck Island. In this particular site plan, north is to your left. You can see that we're obviously along Wiley Avenue here as it crosses Train Avenue, west of the Creamery and the APL, and south of important Duck Island. St. Gwendolyn's is directly to our west. So the parcels in question, the larger parcel 004-04022 is currently a city land bank parcel. The parcel across the street is owned by Matt Burgess. And so this project is basically a two-site project as mentioned, but they will have similar design. As we get into the presentation here, you'll notice that there is a good bit of topography here as Wiley drops from its high point at Columbus Road to its low point at Train Avenue. So we're kind of in between that procession there, and there again is a good bit of topography to contend with. Next. So here at the upper left, we'll look at the largest image here. We're seeing Wiley as it heads uphill towards Columbus in the background. You can also see at the upper left the schoolhouse of St. Wendlands, or at least it was at one point. I believe it's vacant currently. The current site is for the larger parcel is directly across the railroad tracks along Wiley to the left. The Burgess parcel is to the right across the street. The parcel to the left, the larger parcel, is still heavily vegetated, basically all the way to the non-existent or the heavily deteriorated sidewalk along Wiley. And then the Burgess parcel across the street is used as access for the large townhome project for Knez Homes. I think they did a 19 or 20 unit townhome project kind of at the southeast corner of Duck Island. So the vegetation has been cleared from that portion of the site. At the upper left, we have context photos. Here we're looking west, heading up Wiley. Our parcel is to the left. Burgess's parcel is to the right. Their imagery along the bottom, we have the large pit that is heavily industrial, still in use in some form or fashion. And then heading down Wiley, you can see the heavy vegetation, and then some detail of the retaining wall and St. Wendlands School at the bottom right. Next. Our proposed plan, as I mentioned, the larger parcel to the right is City Land Bank, and to the left is privately owned. So here you can see the contour lines along the western edge of the larger parcel that we're contending with. And we have an 18-unit apartment building lining the Wiley-facing property line. We, of course, want to start to define the urban fabric as these two portions of Tremont start to connect with development. So we also are hiding surface parking behind it. 18 units, 16 spaces on this site. You'll see a single family house also shown here. That is not part of the discussion today. That will eventually be more of a custom home site. And so we'll come back or go to Housing Design Review Subcommittee for that eventually. Across the street, 12-unit apartment building. You can see the contour lines that we're contending with over there as well. So that forced us to put the surface parking to the right of the parcel. So you can see some detail of the sidewalks that are leading up to front facing porches for the ground level units. We'll get into that in more detail as we look at the renderings. Next. So here we'll get right into those renderings. You're seeing the northern facade of the larger 18-unit structure. This is the result of conversations with the Land Bank's Design Review Disposition Committee. And so what we have is a 3-story structure that kind of marches up the hill of Wiley. So we allowed that to impact the facade and window placement. We also wanted to have visible pedestrian frontage. So each ground level apartment, which is roughly 510 square, would have a front porch facing Wiley, 6 foot deep, 10 to 12 feet wide. So it would be usable for residents to put a cafe chair or two and a table to sit outside. You can also see that each entry is defined with an overhead canopy, which further defines that entry. The arcade in the middle of the most front-facing portion of the building is looked at to be a very prominent design element, and that leads residents to the back lobbies that allow access and entry into the upper level units. You can see we're dealing with a good bit of topography even along Wiley. And the way we've sited the building, we have allowed a good amount of vegetation to exist in front of the building. Next. Here's a view. It shows maybe a little more than the last rendering, the horizontally lapped cement board. We wanted to keep this design relatively simple. This building would have an element of affordable housing as defined by Tremont West's guidelines for using land bank lots in the neighborhood. So this also gives a little more detail into the porch and the landscaping along the front. Next. Here, we're looking at this arcade, as we're calling it, to be really a visual focus of the project and add a bit of visual interest here. So we're thinking, lighting could be a very successful way to define that at night, and then also add a level of safety. So here we have just a very simple vertical element of lighting, could change colors. And so we think, this will as a beacon to the project. Next. Here's another view looking out from the rear parking lot through the arcade. To the left, you can see one of the entries to the upper-level units. So we have a canopy jutting out to define that entry as well. For the interior of the arcade, we're looking to use a reflective metal cladding so that the light bounces off from side to side and have a play on light there. Next. Here's a view of the second building across the street. Obviously, a very similar design, still allowing the topography to impact glazing along the south property line, and also having a good bit of landscape and first floor articulation. Next. Just another view of that building. Next. Palette, as I mentioned, is a lapped siding that's horizontally oriented, pour-in-place concrete, black window frames, and elements and details with black anodized aluminum panel. Very quickly, we'll go through this. The floor plans for each side of the project are similar, where we have units facing the street, their living rooms and bedrooms facing the street, which allows us to have large expanse of windows along those facades, the kitchen and utilities towards the rear. But here you can see the individual entries into the units. Also going to be to the bottom right would be where trash the dumpster would be, and then it would be accessed from the eastern side of Unit 101 with a sidewalk along the property line. Here you can also see the procession to the porches from the sidewalk and the arcade as it connects the parking lot and Wiley. Next. Then the upper levels are the same for all those units. So we've got plans. The next few slides are exterior elevations. I know you're pressed for time, so I'd open it up to questions. We are seeking schematic design approval here. We presented to Near West last week, and really the main point that they explained, they wanted to have the sidewalk along the 12-unit project or building to be 8 foot wide instead of 5, so that it could be an extension of the two-way trail infrastructure that comes from Train Avenue. Otherwise, we were at Tremont West Design Review, Economic Development Committee last night. There were no variances to vote on. So it's really just kind of getting this out and introducing it to everybody, and interested to hear your comments.
Thank you, Wes. Commission members?
We had Councilman Slife with his hand raised, I believe.
Councilman.
Thank you. design-wise, I think this building looks really great, and I like that it's got sort of an industrial feel that lines up with Train Avenue, which is one of Cleveland's more unique streets. I guess my questions are to the developer. This is a pretty unique site due to the slope, and I looked up the size of the two lots on the county auditor's website, and I don't think either of them exceed an acre. So I'm not sure if the permitting process would automatically kick in a review by Cuyahoga Soil and Water. I'm wondering what kind of due diligence you've done when it comes to, there's this slope that is heavily vegetated. So right now it's taking in a lot of stormwater. And as you start to develop on it, are we going to be pushing more water down towards Train Avenue and kind of exacerbating flooding because there's not that that natural surface to absorb? Has that been taken into consideration through all of this? Because I'd hate for the process to not include it, and we would have wanted it to.
Yes, we have submitted this to the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District for a determination letter. It will be reviewed under Title 9, I believe. I don't remember which one that is, but basically we would have to have some sort of detention on site that would most likely be done below grade at the parking lot. In regards to stormwater, outside of that, we will be working directly with civil engineers over at Riverstone, and we would be tackling that. Every project in the city, you have to maintain and basically manage stormwater within the perimeter of your site. So that's something we do on pretty much every project.
Thank you. And a recommendation might even be if you haven't, and I'd be happy to make the connection, you can reach out to the diocesan real estate office, because at the top of the slope, there's a parking lot that obviously predates a lot of stormwater management best practices. And I would hate for, all the water flowing from that parking lot to affect your project and ultimate development. So it's just something I kind of flagged knowing that area. It's like I said, it's unique, and we don't have those types of slopes in many parts of the cities that we have to contend with.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and welcome the introduction, or at least the contact. So absolutely. Yeah, it is a pretty good site. It's funny, we've done a lot of projects around the ridge of Island and Fremont, and it's always a little bit unique, whether you're doing, Chase Mountains down 50 feet or lucky and doing standing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Hey, Wes, this is August. Great job as always. I love how you master sites, and this is, in my opinion, simple but very impactful. Thank you.
Is that a motion?
Yes, I'm sorry. I moved to approve.
Second, I agree with August.
So okay, just to be clear, the first motion is for building 1.
Okay.
And we have a motion and second. Further discussion. I'd just like to say, Wes, I always like to see you come in front of Planning Commission, see what you have to offer. And I think this one is very exciting. So thanks. Call the roll, please.
Thank you. Bowen.
Yes.
Downing.
Yes.
Fluker.
Yes.
Curry.
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
Slife.
Yes.
All right. So now Cooper Flats building number 2. Commission members?
I move to approve building 2 as presented.
I'll second Downing.
Motion and second. Further discussion. Call the roll, please.
Bowen.
Yes.
Downing.
Yes.
Fluker.
Yes.
Curry.
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
Slife.
Yes.
So Wes, I got to tell you, I've been driving by that every day on my way to Tappan, and so I'm glad to see something's going to happen there. It is a very challenging site. Good job. Okay, we're moving on to Barber Avenue Townhomes, new construction. And this is for schematic design approval.
We have
Who's here
Ron.
for this?
Ron Starstat.
Okay, Ryan, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer under the penalty of perjury? Ryan? Is Ryan on the phone?
On the phone.
Hello? We got
Hello?
you.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. My security system on my computers will not allow me to hook up to any of these sites. So we have to do this by phone, and I'm ready for you.
Okay, Ryan, I was swearing you in. Did you hear me?
Oh, yes, I do. I agree.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Okay, go ahead with your presentation.
Okay, if we can go to page 2. This is 3 land bank properties on Bailey Avenue, or Barber Avenue, excuse me. And we're going to put 4 market rate row houses and 4 associated affordable apartments on the site also. Each row house will have an apartment to go with it. So if you take a look at the location map, the green dot is the location. And the general location is, it's west of West 25th. If you take a look at the number 2, you'll see the Nestle's plant there. It'll help orient you. We're going to backload the garage off Joy Court. Now, we are facing an issue where West 32nd Place and Joy Court are dedicated right-of-ways by the city of Cleveland. However, they're not paved. The property is to the left of West 32nd Place. All have garages backed up onto it, and they all use it to drive. Also, just north of the green dot is parcel 007230042. That recently was a house, and I bring this up because, and that burned down or is no longer there, whatever. So I suspect that there's utilities in West 32nd Place, and they were also using that unpaved West 32nd Place to get to their home. If we can go to page 3, or no, page 4.
Yeah, Ron, I think we have different pages than you, but now we're looking at, well,
Yeah, these don't.
At an elevation.
What was that?
We're looking at an elevation.
On page 4?
I don't think your page numbers are lining up with what we have here. We have a site plan for page 1. We have building elevations for page 2. Page 3 are, well, the first, page 2 was, it doesn't say what elevation. Page 3 is north elevation, the rear yard. Page 4 is the revised garage plan. Page 5 is the revised garage plan, second floor. And page 6 is revised garage elevation. And that's all I have.
Well, there's no sense in going further with this then. If you don't have the right drawings. I mean, the drawings I'm going off of are the same drawings that we presented to the design review committee last week. So I don't know what drawings you got, and I apologize for that.
No, that's okay. So if you want, what we could do, since you're not sure what drawings we have, if you could organize with Michael Bozak what drawings you need here, we can table this and get you right away next commission member or next commission.
And that'll be when?
2 weeks.
2 weeks? Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, if it's going to be 2 weeks, here's what I'm going to do then. I'll get a hold of Michael, but I'm in the process of revising the plans according to the comments from the design review committee.
Good.
And there will be three-dimensional drawings also. So, and the only thing I've not completed are the three-dimensional drawings, and they should be done sometime the middle of next week. So when I get all that together, I'll call Michael now, tell him what to expect, and then when I get the drawings done, I will get a hold of him again and email him all. Email him the total package.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you so much. So,
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Commission members, we're looking to table this for next commission meeting.
Mr. Chair, I move that we table at the applicant's request.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll, please.
Bowen,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Fife.
Yes.
All right, Ron, see you next time. Okay, design review, proposed demolition of a two-story apartment building. Who's here for this?
We have Marilyn Masinski from Slavic Village.
Marilyn, I'm gonna swear you in. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer under the penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So brought, so 5500 and 5502 Fleet Avenue. If you want to move to the next slide. So there was a smaller building to the left that was attached to this building that we had brought to you probably almost a year ago that we had demolished. We had hoped that that would entice developers to come look at the building, which they did. We had folks look at it, walk it. We did some minor details to it, and folks had the building has been structurally damaged and could not be salvaged. Click to the next slide, please. Just to give some perspective, the red dot is 5500, and that's on the corner of East 55th and Fleet. If you go one street to the left, is East 54th, is where Saucy Son is. And directly across from that, a couple weeks ago, we brought the Andreoli family to you to redo a building over there, which if you haven't drawn down Fleet Avenue, he's almost completed with it. It looks amazing. He's really setting the bar for redevelopment on Fleet, I think, with that building. So we're excited about that. That being said, we've talked to different folks at looking at this building at 5500. If you want to go to the next building, thank you. So you can see the inside has been broken into. Even when we got it, it was being damaged. We've boarded up. More goes into it and keeps getting damaged. It got some water damage into the basement. Click to the next one. Thank you. As you can see, more damage is done inside the building. Click again, please. And click one more time. So we are asking for approval for demolition for this so that we can move forward and look at a new development at this site. We've gotten some people that are interested in it, and so we'd like to start some design work on it eventually. But for right now, just to get the eyesore off, the Fleet stakeholders have been on us. They feel that this is just an eyesore for the street and for their businesses, and all support the demolition of this building. So that's what we're seeking here. I know Councilman Frank Tilly is also on, if he's not sleeping still.
Oh my gosh. Councilman.
Yes, you commission members, I am supportive of the demolition. We worked hard to try and find end users, but were not successful, and we had more interest in building new on this site. So clearing this site, setting the table, and taking advantage of resources that are available now to clear the site is important for us. And as Marilyn spoke, it had taken in a significant amount of water with structural roof issues going all the way down the basement. So it's time for us to clear and entertain the new options that we have.
Thank you, Councilman.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval. Downing.
So we have a motion and a second, and this is to demolish the building because it's structurally unsound. the historic characteristics of the building have been lost, and it's unsafe at this point. So why don't we call the roll?
Bowen,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Slife.
Yes.
Good luck. Okay, the last one is a CATS Men's Supportive Housing new construction. This is at 3731 East 71st Street. Who's here for this?
Marilyn Moshinsky for Slavic Village. And
We
then
have
I know.
John Scalish from Community Assessment, Roxanne Wallace from Community Assessment.
Bonnie Smith from Smith Arcs.
Okay, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer under the penalty of perjury?
I do.
I do.
I do.
Can you state your name once you say I do?
John Scalish, I do.
Roxanne Wallace, I do. Bonnie Smith, I do.
Marilyn Moshinsky, I do.
All right, who's going to start this off?
I am Marilyn Moshinsky from Slavic Village. I just want to give you a little bit of background on the project. If you want to go to the next slide, please. Keep going. Let's get to the building. Okay, so give you just a little background. Oh, go back a little bit. So Slavic Village received this building out of foreclosure. It's a great historic building along a historic street. We brought in several different developers and asked for different proposals on the building. CATS is a great partner in our neighborhood and had offered to do the best and the highest level of historic preservation on this building, along with keeping it active along the street. We were thrilled to pass this building on to them after we got it out of foreclosure. So with that said, Slavic Village is supportive of what they will be presenting to you today. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to John Scalish to talk a little bit about the project and Bonnie to talk about the design.
Thank you, Marilyn. It's nice to talk. The agency.
Well, no, need the history of the agency or just the history of this project?
Oh, the project's fine. If you want to say something about the agency, that's fine too.
Okay, we'll just go to we've just been an alcohol and drug treatment center in Slavic Village for the last 28 years. So Scalish, talk about the project.
This project that we have is for a recovery house to offer residents a safe and structured living environment. We plan on providing the residents access to valuable relapse prevention services, case management, peer support, mental health counseling, as well as availability of our in-house employment program. So when we saw this building, we thought it was going to be the perfect use to renovate and revitalize it. And we have our architect here to talk a little bit more.
Okay, great. The project will have a total of 9 residents, and we have, if we could go to some of the next slides, take a look at the project. If we could keep, okay. This is the houses that exist right now. And then some of the following slides show you the context up and down the street. There are some other houses, there are some vacant lots, there's some commercial property. I think I didn't print out the whole slide presentation for myself, but if you could just keep moving through this. Okay, good. Okay, and then that's looking north toward Broadway. We have, vacant lots, commercial buildings. This is a view across the street. There's I believe a church building or something like that directly across the street, and then a gas station on the corner. And then the homes that remain are stately, well-constructed homes. And we hope to be able to fit our building back into the character of the street. And then when we presented to the design review committee, if you could just go to the slide with toward multifamily housing. Okay, go back one. well, and 1 acres. And what we propose, one more. And if you could go to the little site plan. Anyway, we're going to recondition the turf and of debris, old tires and things like that on the adjacent lot. And we're going to some hydrangeas that should provide of interest. And then we can progress to we presented to the design review committee for the East Design Review Committee. If we could go to the elevations of the actual buildings that have colors on them.
There we go.
Okay, one more. We presented a total of 4
Actually, I think-
schemes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, David.
Yeah, I can actually see the elevation now.
Oh, okay, good. Good. Yeah, and we can too. So we presented 4 color schemes, feeling that it should be, something very participative with the local design review committee and the community development corporation. So we did a blue scheme. The next page would be, let me see, a mustard scheme. The following page was a sage scheme. And then the final page is the teal scheme. We're fortunate in that the siding, the existing wood siding is in pretty good shape. So we're going to be repainting the siding, the teal. It's, the colors, a little difficult to communicate exactly what they are. The windows will be replaced because there was some damage to the property and all the windows were broken out. And they're old vinyl windows anyway, but we're going to be putting back a Pella product, the aluminum clad windows, and the poplar white. Don't think white. It's not a white window. It's kind of a buttery, soft yellow. So we've got the soft teal, the soft yellow, and then the soffits and some of the other trim in the front door are going to be a rather pleasant taupe, which Sherwin-Williams calls pewter tankard. So, and then the other materials, the roof is less than a year old. It was put on in January of 2020. And the stone, there's a solid stone foundation and some lovely brick chimneys. They'll be cleaned and tuck pointed and just, preserved hopefully for the next, I think the building was built in 1925. So coming up on almost a century, preserved for maybe another, 50 or perhaps 100 years, the building will be able to be enjoyed. We did, I believe, present some floor plans of the building to show the use, the 9 rooms for the community housing. And that's kind of, very simple project. The only new materials on it really are the windows. So we received final review approval on the teal scheme from the design committee last week, and we're hoping to move forward with your final approval.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Bonnie.
Thank you. See you too.
Commission members?
I move approval. It's a great renovation. So thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Motion and second. Further discussion. Call the roll, please.
Bowen,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Fluker. Yes. Curry,
Yes.
Hall, Slife.
Yes.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you. Director, do you have a report?
Should we adjourn the meeting? I move to do.
Okay. Meeting
Yes.
adjourned. Do we have a report?
I'm unmuting here. It's not working.
I can hear
Yes,
you.
we can hear
Hold
you.
on.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. That's weird. Okay, here we go. So I don't have a report, just a update for you guys that I'm going to send out on October 16th at 12:30. We're going to be hosting a City Club forum, building a 21st century city with A.D. Tomer, who's a Brookings Fellow. And we're going to be discussing technology and innovation in cities. And this is a precursor to our Building a 21st Century City Conference that's going to be taking place in March. So when you get the invitation, if you guys are able to attend that virtual event, it will be really great. There'll be a presentation. He and I will engage in some dialogue, and then there will be Q&A, which is typical of a virtual City Club forum. So just wanted to give you guys that update. The discussion will be very, I think, interesting. And it'll also be sort of the setup for our conference that's going to be coming up first quarter of next year in March.
Thank you, Director. That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Hey, Freddie, I'm going to call you right after the meeting.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.